Hi, welcome back to Genesis Custom Sabers. And I'm very pleased to show you the first custom saber to be for sale in 2023. And it's this one, the Badaxx Longlost. And I hope you take the time to look at the close-up pics of this saber because it's quite unique. Not only because it's the first Badaxx to have an OLED screen built in, but the weathering and aging on this saber is something I haven't done before. It's got, of course, the Crystal Focus version 10. This is my Spitfire font, available at saberfont.com. I just thought a unique saber like this needed a unique font, something ancient and lost and mysterious. It's very fluid, very fun to use. Comes dialed in and tuned up and ready to go with 18 of my sound fonts that have been upgraded for Crystal Focus 10 and Smooth Swing, which is what you hear. That's the feature where if you move the saber subtly, you get subtle sounds. And you get aggressive movement that tears apart your shop. You get aggressive sounds. So it moves with you and the sound moves with you. I want to show you too when it's engaged, if you hit both buttons at the same time, you get spectrum. You can tilt the saber and you can get different colors. Now, once you pick a color, if you hold the auxiliary button,
Blade profiles.
you get into blade profiles. And I'm going to switch the camera settings so you can see how cool these are.
Blade profiles.
So when you're in the blade profiles, of course, each blade profile is going to respond to whatever color you selected. So this is green, of course. You've got two different flame effects. You've got different, lightsaber effects, unstable, rain sizzle. Of course, there's a rainbow effect. There's a lot of different blade effects. So that you can just pick whichever one you think works best with this saber, and then you tap the button to lock it in. As you can see, if you've looked at the images and the pictures, this is a uniquely weathered saber. I actually was experimenting with different weathering and aging techniques, and I stumbled upon this one that kind of quite unintentionally, because I was using a copper sulfate solution, which is one of the etching solutions. The way I did it actually left some copper plating on most of the parts of the saber. And rather than try to remove that, it was very difficult to remove because it's bonded to the metal. I actually started to buff it, massage it, and work with it, and continue to age it. So the result is a very uniquely weathered, aged saber. It's got a really cool patina, like this has been out in the elements or lost in some crypt for 1,000 years. And you can once get hints of copper color throughout the saber. I thought the green illumination would go really well with this. And of course, it's got an aged copper cover tech. So, the more you scratch that, the more copper might, if you're able to scratch it, might come out. So not only is it an aged and weathered saber, but the more you use it, there's just going to be nuances to the patina that just from handling over the years will make it look even better. But I entitled this saber Long Lost, just because I thought it's got a mysterious backstory of some kind where it was lost for 1,000 years, found again, made its way through various collectors into the hands of a Force user, whatever your story might be. I want to show you a close-up of some of the finer detail of this saber. You can see just a hint of that copper patina I was talking about. And of course, you've got blade plug in there and little nicks and dings, some battle damage. Saber, has been used. So I've done this in a way where it looks like it's been used, looks and feels like it's been used. Of course, if you want to fire up the OLED screen, it's a pretty cool feature. I've given that a bit of aging as well, so it's not a clear OLED screen. It's tinted green with a little bit of a matte coat on there. Very happy with how the saber turned out. Alright, this video is going to serve as the operating instructions for this fine saber. The first thing you need to know is that there's a kill key that covers the recharge port. If you pull that out, the saber will boot up. You don't want to lose that. that shuts off power to the saber. It will go into sleep mode if you don't have that in eventually. Of course, you see the button lights up. Now, you can tap the auxiliary button in this mode, and you will get the blue light comes on for the battery level. You also get a battery level meter that's available as one of the OLED options. If you tap the button again, you get the name of the font that it's currently on, Spitfire. Of course, you can go through and find a couple of different animations, things that may appeal to you, whatever works for your saber. And that's how that works. Of course, you can fire up the saber like this, and you'll see an illumination in the blade plug. This is one of my custom pixel blade plugs. Just an added level of cool. To remove that, you just lighten up on the blade retention screw, and the blade plug will slide out. You can set that apart somewhere. You need the, of course, a Plector Pixel blade. The saber comes with the NPX2 blade. That is my version. You lock the blade in, tighten it up so it doesn't fly through a window, and then this is the activation button that activates the saber. This is the auxiliary button. Get your blaster blocks, your lock up, and of course, when you tap them together or hold them together for a moment, you get the spectrum mode, and of course you can then rotate the saber and get all kinds of different colors, and you can select the color that you want. You can tap the auxiliary button to lock it in, or you can hold the auxiliary button, and that enters the blade profiles. And then you can rotate through different blade profiles to get whatever effect you want, and then tap the button to lock that in, and of course it will remember that the next time you're on this sound font. To change sound fonts, you just turn the blade off and you hold down the auxiliary button.
Sound bank selection.
And when you toggle through the different sound fonts, you can use this button to toggle or the activation button. You'll get a little readout description of each of the sound fonts. You want to go back down through the list. Hold this button to lock it in. And now when the saber boots up, it'll boot up in that sound font. Of course, there's a lot of other options and things you can learn to do with the Crystal Focus. The OLED screen is oriented so that it's read this way. If you wanted to orient it so that it's read the other way, like this, there's an option. If you take out the SD card, which I'll show you next, you can change that around if you want. But as a right-handed person, that's how I would imagine reading it. Now, I don't permit the saber to be taken apart for warranty purposes. The saber itself is suitable for hard dueling. With the pixel blades, I recommend moderate dueling for those, just because the blade's worth well over $100 to replace. You've got a CoverTech and a D-ring combo. The CoverTech will still work with a standard CoverTech belt holder, which locks it up. Or of course you can secure your saber with a D-ring. All right, for warranty purposes, I don't permit the saber to be taken apart, any of these screws or anything. They're all Loctite and vibration-proofed, secured in there, with the exception of the pommel. And the pommel is removed with a Allen wrench, which is supplied. There's one screw, which is right there, and if you place the Allen wrench in, whoops, you don't need to use it this way because that provides too much force. So I only ever put it in this way, and then you can crack loose that screw. You want to work over a flat surface so you don't lose anything. That is a 632 screw, about 3/16 long or 1/8 inch long if you ever need to replace it. The pommel just gently slides off, and you've got a speaker module that fits in there tightly, and there's a little clip which you could undo, but you really don't need to if you're only accessing the SD card, which I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. There's of course the USB port if you want to plug your saber into the computer and make changes. For this purposes, we're going to make sure that the kill key is in so that the power is off to the saber, and then we just a little bit of pressure and you can pop that SD card out, and you can put that in your computer and add or remove sound fonts and make other changes. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to make a change to the orientation of the OLED screen, you can do that. And then when it comes time, you just make sure that clip is below the sound card when the speaker rests in there. Once it's in, I boot it up just to make sure. I didn't accidentally unseat the sound card by clicking it twice or something. Of course, you can put the pommel in this way, or for special sabers, I like to do what I call Noldorin style, where it's like that, where the pommel is swept backwards. And then, of course, with the screw in, what I like to do is I like to do, a couple of turns counterclockwise. Just there it goes, just for the threads to click, and then it's very easy to just gently screw it in. And it's aluminum, so you don't need to screw it in very tight. You don't want to strip the threads that tight. Nice and rock solid and ready to go. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed watching this saber video. And if you'd like, please subscribe to my channel and click that little bell icon so you can see whenever I come up with new videos or new sabers or new props or things like that. I hope the new owner really enjoys and loves this saber. Thanks again for watching.